This video is brought to you by CuriosityStream, a subscription streaming service that offers thousands of documentaries and non-fiction titles from some of the world's best filmmakers, including exclusive originals. It's the first ever video streaming service for people who want to learn and explore the world around them, with documentaries on science, nature, technology, music, sports, and my favourite, history. This series about the strategic bomber offensives of the Second World War was astonishing, with rare real-world footage that gives an incredible perspective on the campaigns. Available worldwide on many platforms, new shows are available every week. Go to curiositystream.com/opsroom for unlimited access to the world's top documentaries and non-fiction series. And for our subscribers, use promo code OPSROOM and you will get 25% off, which comes out to only $14.99 a year. So click the link below or go to curiositystream.com/opsroom and save 25% right now at $14.99 per year, and that's just $1.25 per month. At 8:20 AM on April 16, 1945, the radar operator aboard the Allen Sumner-class destroyer USS Laffey alerts Captain Frederick Beckton to a large formation of unidentified aircraft approaching his vessel from the north. Captain Beckton looks at the radar screen and remarks that the display has so many dots that it looks like an advanced case of chickenpox. Beckton sounds general quarters and the destroyer prepares for action. Fireman First Class Jim Spriggs is on his way to his battle station when he notices a group of sharks swimming alongside the warship. He shivers at the thought of falling overboard, not knowing that the water will soon be the safest place to be. The Laffey is supporting the invasion of Okinawa, which began 2 weeks earlier. It is also at this time that the Japanese have fully unleashed the terrifying Kamikazes, suicide pilots which overwhelm American air defences and dive their bomb-laden planes into US naval warships. Captain Beckton and his crew have seen the devastating effects of the Kamikaze from their time in port at Ulithi, having shared the harbour with shattered American warships undergoing major repairs. To combat the Kamikaze threat, Admiral Chester Nimitz orders US ships to set up radar pickets around Okinawa to provide early warning for incoming raids. The Laffey is currently on its third day at Picket Station No. 1, the northernmost radar picket and the closest to Japan. The destroyer will be the first American ship sighted by Kamikaze pilots as they fly towards Okinawa. It is something every sailor on the Laffey has been dreading. Just before 8:30 AM, an endless stream of 165 Japanese aircraft appear on the northern horizon, approaching Laffey. Seaman First Class Pressburger looks up at the aerial armada from his 20mm gun and concludes that he has 5 minutes to live. Captain Beckton phones the engine room, "Give us all you've got," and orders the destroyer to flank speed. However, he loses radio contact with the small combat air patrol of 6 Corsairs posted to protect his ship. The American planes fly off to meet the enemy head-on, just as Laffey's 5-inch guns open fire. Most of the Japanese planes continue towards Okinawa to search for bigger targets, but many pilots decide to attack the Laffey instead. A group of 6 dive bombers splits off from the main group and dives towards the small destroyer. They assume standard kamikaze attack formation. 2 aircraft each fly towards the bow and the stern of their target, while the other 2 swing around to attack the port and starboard sides respectively. This way, the Laffey cannot direct anti-aircraft fire in any one direction. The crewmen will have to work together to focus on the most immediate threat, while Captain Beckton takes evasive manoeuvres from the bridge. The first 2 Vals attack head-on. One is destroyed 5 miles out from a direct hit from a 5-inch shell, while the other is brought down 3,000 yards away from the ship. The 2 Vals attacking from the stern are also destroyed short of their target. Lieutenant Frank Manson watches as the starboard side Kamikaze is shredded to the point of looking like flaming confetti and crashes into the ocean. However, the port side Kamikaze bears down and strafes the pilot house. At the last moment, Captain Beckton swings the ship to port, which allows his anti-aircraft guns to fire a full broadside. The Judy dive bomber explodes just 50 yards from the Laffey, causing casualties on deck from shrapnel, but no serious damage to the ship. The crew cheers, having brought down all 6 attackers. 7 minutes pass before another wave of kamikazes descends on the ship. A Val swoops in and charges through a hailstorm of tracers towards Laffey. Gunner's mate 2nd Class Lawrence Delusky is captaining the aft 5-inch gun turret when one of the barrels jams. Delusky jumps down from the turret hatch and whacks the mount with a hammer. The gun springs back into action just as the Val clips the turret hatch and cartwheels into the sea. Delusky along with the Laffey have survived their first hit through sheer luck. 5 minutes later, a Judy comes in low at the starboard side towards Pressburger's station. The Judy bears down and Pressburger can see the pilot's goggles before it is splashed just short of the destroyer. The attacks subside and Becton takes stock of his situation. The Laffey has barely suffered a scratch, but the surface radar which can detect low-flying incoming aircraft has been damaged by shrapnel. He must now rely upon the ship's lookouts to identify targets. There are still no communications from any friendly aircraft, as once again the sky darkens with Japanese planes. Seaman 1st Class Thomas Fern spots an incoming Judy coming in low from the port side. His 40mm gun crew scores several hits on the target, but the Judy refuses to go down. With a sickening feeling, Fern realises the plane is going to hit. He instinctively covers his face with his hands at the last minute as the Judy's landing gear strikes his gun mount and cartwheels into the sea. Burning aviation fuel covers the deck, but Laffey has survived another close call. Fern and his comrades throw spare ammunition and depth charges overboard to keep them from exploding. Suddenly, a Val appears out of nowhere and isn't spotted until it is far too late. Delusky's gun crew can't train on the target fast enough, and the Val along with its bomb explodes against the 5-inch gun turret. Almost immediately, another Val drops a 1,000-pound bomb against Delusky's turret, which pierces the deck plating and explodes within the ship. Captain Becton orders the aft magazine flooded to prevent the shells from detonating. The onslaught continues when the destroyer suffers another direct hit from a bomb, which knocks out hydraulic steering. The Laffey is now in a desperate situation. It can only sail in a circle, with most aft anti-aircraft guns knocked out of action. A half-an-hour lull allows for some damage control, but at 9:15 am more kamikazes target the now wounded ship. She takes another direct hit in the undefended stern from a kamikaze Val. The Val's bomb bounces across the deck and comes to rest against the depth charge rack. A group of sailors run through the fire and toss the bomb overboard. 5 minutes later, Lieutenant Manson looks up to see more than 20 Japanese aircraft circling the Laffey like vultures. This is it, he thinks to himself. However, he spots more aircraft coming in. A group of Marine Corsairs along with Navy Wildcats and Hellcats pounce on the unsuspecting Japanese attackers. The Corsairs are specialised kamikaze hunters from the carrier USS Intrepid, nicknamed the Grim Reapers. Marines to the rescue, just like Hollywood, exclaims Manson. A dogfight breaks out above Laffey as the American pilots try to drive the kamikazes away from the destroyer. The Grim Reapers, along with the naval aviators, shoot down multiple Japanese planes, but more dive into the attack. Signalman 2nd Class Thomas McCarthy watches as an Oscar screams towards Laffey, followed closely by a Grim Reaper on its tail. American anti-aircraft gunners fire too low, afraid of hitting the Corsair. The Oscar and the Corsair both clip the mast with their wings. The Oscar crashes into the sea, while the Corsair pilot manages to bail out. McCarthy watches as the American flag on the mast flutters to the ground. "We've got to get that back up there," he shouts to a crewmate. McCarthy retrieves a new flag and braves the swirling battle around him to hoist a new ensign above the ship. Despite the American planes winning the aerial battle, another Judy manages to slip through and bomb the Laffey's already scorched stern section at 9:45 am. Lieutenant Manson informs Captain Becton, "We're in pretty bad shape aft," before asking, "Do you think we'll have to abandon ship?" Becton, who earlier commanded the destroyer USS Aaron Ward, which was sunk by the Japanese in 1943, responds angrily, "Hell no, Frank, I'll never abandon ship as long as a gun will fire." The final attack begins with one Val and one Judy coming head-on towards Laffey. Seaman Philippe Salcedo shouts, "Down, Captain, down!" and tackles Captain Becton as the Val strafes the bridge. It drops a bomb which detonates on the forward 20mm gun emplacement. The Val peels off, but is then splashed by a Grim Reaper. The Judy heads straight for the bridge from the port side as Lieutenant Manson dives under the small navigational table, certain that this is the end. A massive explosion rocks the bridge, but the Laffey has not taken a direct hit. Another Corsair has destroyed the Judy at the last second. Suddenly, the din of battle gives way to quiet. The officers on the bridge look up to a clear sky, save for American fighters circling above. To Captain Beckton's amazement, the radar screen is clear of all hostile aircraft. The USS Laffey survives the battle despite suffering 4 bomb hits and 6 kamikaze strikes, although at the cost of 32 crewmen killed and another 71 wounded. Laffey is later towed to Okinawa and then Saipan for repairs. She is decommissioned and used in the Bikini Atoll nuclear bomb tests. Laffey is then recommissioned for the Korean War and continues to serve until 1975. The ship that would not die is now a floating museum in Charleston, South Carolina.